Have you ever really tried to wrap your head around the size of the universe? It's almost impossible, right? Well, today, we're going to try something a little different. We are going to shrink the entire cosmos down to a scale we can actually feel. And it all starts with one very familiar object. You've seen this before, right? You're watching one of those space comparison videos, and you run into what I like to call perspective drift. The camera just keeps zooming out, and that colossal city-sized star, it ends up looking no bigger on your screen than the tiny moon you started with. You see the numbers, sure, but you totally lose the feeling of just how big things are. You know, this constant shifting, this constant zooming out, it's the enemy of wow. Our brains just can't process the mind-bending reality of these sizes when the goalposts are always moving. But what if we could stop the zoom? What if we could just lock our perspective in place? And that's exactly what we're going to do. Welcome to the tennis ball universe. In this universe, we've got one simple rule. We never, ever zoom out. From this point on, our scale is locked. It's going to give us a true, unwavering reference point for the entire journey ahead. So here it is, our one unbreakable rule for this explainer. Planet Earth is now a tennis ball. That's it. That's our anchor. To make that happen, we're using a fixed scale of 1 to 190 million. Everything we look at from here on out is going to be measured against this one simple object. All right, let's start close to home. What does our little celestial neighborhood look like when our entire world is the size of a tennis ball? First up, let's bring in our closest companion, the moon. So on this scale, if the Earth is a tennis ball, the moon is about the size of one of those little Nerf balls. Kind of small, right? You could hold both of them in your hands. Seems pretty cozy. Okay, so you've got your tennis ball Earth and your Nerf ball moon. How far apart would you place them? A foot? Maybe 2 feet? You know, most people picture them really close together, almost touching. But the reality of space? Well, it's a whole lot different. 7 feet. That's the distance you'd have to put that tiny Nerf ball a full 7 feet away from the tennis ball. And right there, in that moment, you learn the first big lesson of our new perspective. Space is mostly just empty space. And just how empty is that 7-foot gap? Get this. You could take every single other planet in our solar system. Yep, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, the whole shebang, and line them all up side by side in that space, and you would still have room left over. It's incredible. So, our immediate neighborhood is way emptier than we thought. But what happens when we bring in the true center of our solar system, the absolute boss of this block, the sun? Okay, remember our little tennis ball Earth? Well, at that exact same locked scale, the sun would have a diameter of 24 feet. We just went from something you can hold in your hand to something that won't even fit in most rooms in your house. Just think about that for a second. A glowing sphere that is wider than a 2-car garage, and our entire world, everyone and everything you've ever known, is just a little tennis ball in comparison. Now that is the power of a fixed perspective. To really put that in perspective, you could cram 1.3 million of our tennis ball Earths inside that garage-sized sun. And what's really wild is that our sun is kind of an overachiever. It's actually bigger than about 80% of all the other stars in our galaxy. But hey, we're not here to talk about the average stars. We're here to meet the real giants. So let's leave our solar system behind for a bit. It's time to meet the true heavyweights, the supergiants that make our sun look like a tiny little spark. This is where our fixed scale is going to get truly mind-bending. All right, let's run through the cosmic tale of the tape. We start with our sun. 24 feet wide, a 2-car garage. Then you get to a star like Arcturus. At 610 feet, it's as wide as 2 football fields laid end to end. From there, the scale just explodes. Betelgeuse would be a staggering 5 miles wide. I mean, imagine a sphere 10 times taller than the Burj Khalifa. And the current champion, Scuti, it comes in at 8 miles wide. That's a sphere so big, its top would be higher than a commercial airplane flies. Let's just pause on Betelgeuse for a second. That 5-mile wide sphere, if you plopped that down at the center of our solar system, its surface would stretch all the way out past the orbit of Mars. It would just swallow Mercury, Venus, our little tennis ball Earth, and Mars without even noticing. And here's the final thought to leave you with. Scuti, that 8-mile wide monster in our little model, it is still just a single tiny point of light in our night sky, one star among hundreds